community help doc first to see if the question's there. As always, if you're able to turn your camera on, please do so we can see if stuff doesn't make sense. It's real easy to read your face when your camera's on and say, oh, they're confused. It's much harder to read your face when your camera's off, right? So unless you're having internet issues or things like that, or if your camera's busted, that's fine. Shoot me a message in the chat if that's the case, just to let me know. Math Labs Tuesday, Thursday, we had about 4 people there this morning. So you guys should come. It makes life easier. We just work on assignments. A couple of them just hung out and did their work, and then if they had a question randomly, they would just shoot it over to me, and then we would solve it. And if you want to ignore what's going on in there, you can. So this is where we ended on Monday, right? Or Tuesday, I think. Sorry, I put Monday. So that's also on YouTube. If you come into this is a hyperlink. So if you want to see that problem again, that's in my YouTube. We're going to start here because a few of you have emailed me this. Well, actually a couple of you. And one person I helped but didn't have it recorded when I helped them. Has anyone solved this problem and know what the trap door in this problem is? Go ahead and read it. Sorry, whoever that was, you can unmute again and let us know what's up.
I solved it, but it was very hard.
It was very hard. Sonny, I think I saw your hand. Do you know what the trap door is here?
It says he prints on both sides of each sheet, but it says he prints 2 pages on each side.
Yeah, why is that a trap door? People think it's just 2 pages.
If you don't read it correctly, you might miss that.
Yeah, how many pages is it really per sheet of paper? How many pages does he fit on each sheet of paper? 4, right? So if we were going to write this workout, we could say our 47 pages that we need to print divided by, so I'm still getting my at-home setup figured out, but I think this camera actually doesn't fight with focus so bad. So 47 pages divided by 4 on each sheet. Now, that doesn't come out nicely, but what could we do to 47 to make this nicer? Anybody, just unmute, shout it out. What would divide by 4 a lot easier than 47? Yeah, 48. So 48 divided by 4 is 12. Right, so guys, these problems are starting to get into more like we just have to kind of reason through what we're doing. And this is not really the lesson. This is like a review problem really quickly before we dive into our lesson today. So then that 12 is how many sheets of paper will actually get used. What do we do with that 12 now if we look back in the problem? 12 sheets of paper. Clark?
Either we -1 or -4.
Talk to me about why you're subtracting. Oh, because we went up here. So actually, that's like saying there's a 48th page that prints. But even if it did, if we think about going print or page 1, page 2, flip it, page 3, page 4, and then we get all the way up to 46, or sorry, 44, 45, 40, what would it be? 45, 46, 47, 48? Yeah, 45, 46, 47, 48. The 48th page is just wasted. So we get 12 sheets of paper. I probably should have labeled that. So we're not going to subtract anything from this or add anything. Anyone else have a guess of what we might do? If you are multitasking, please come back. If you haven't read the problem, please read the problem. How much does each sheet that we print cost?
$0.25.
Yeah, $0.25, so 25 cents, right? So we're going to multiply this by 0.25, which is 25 cents. And that will give us $3 that this is going to cost. So if the print job costs $3 and they had $1.10 in their account, I'm going to switch pens because my red pen isn't really writing all that great. Now we would say the $1.10 minus the $3 spent. And I think this is where some of you got confused too. Their account can go negative, right? If it's like an account with the school or somebody like that, you can normally go negative and then pay that back. So this ends negative $1.90. So that is how we solve that print problem, is we first need to like reason through how many sheets of paper we're actually going to use. That's the trap door. And then we solve it from there. Any remaining questions about this one? Or really, I don't think other people sent me anything unless they've sent it to me today. All right, everyone show me your graph paper. Show me your graph paper. Please and thank you. Layla, waiting to see your graph paper. Brady, I don't know if I missed yours. Thank you. Everyone's good. Brady, did you hold yours up and I just missed it? Hey, Brady. Brady Sanford. I'm hoping this is you in chat. Hey, Brady, are you on our call? I can't tell if I'm looking at a video of you. Guys, am I crazy? Can anyone else see Brady? I'm trying to talk to him, and I'm getting no response.
I can see Brady.
There we are. Brady, where's your graph paper? I asked everyone to put their graph paper up, and you, didn't do anything. There we go. Please do not be multitasking, guys. Please do not be multitasking during class. If it's hard for us to get you to come back, it makes us wonder what you were doing. All right, so did we solve a problem like this on Tuesday, where we have to solve it backwards, quote unquote?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, that's what I thought. At the end of class, if anyone wants to see more like this, hang out. I want to get to what we really need to cover today to make sure that we have plenty of time to do that, and then we will go from there. So, if you've seen this question, and if you take a moment to read what I have up there on the top of the screen, this question deals with mean. And even if you haven't seen this question, we're going to start to see a lot more like this. What is mean in math? And not just like, oh, my teacher assigned me homework. That was mean. The average. And yeah, if you read the screen, it also says it up there, right? But please write down in your notes that mean is the mathematical average. I left my other notes at school, so we're going to take these live. Does anyone know how we calculate the mean? What math do we do to make that happen? Harish?
So first we add all the numbers up.
And then?
And then we divide it by the number of numbers.
Absolutely. So what we should have on our paper is mean is mathematical average. And because average gets used in a lot of different ways, right? So that's why we say mathematical average. And to do the math, we're going to write mean is sum of all your numbers divided by the amount of numbers. So please make sure we get that in our notes. If you did not date your notes, they should be dated 12/3/20, December 3rd. Most of the snow's melting. Sorry, I gotta check chat here for a second. Title of the page. Today we're gonna do, first we're gonna do mean, but then we're gonna do rates and ratios. And that's a whole, I have a separate page in my notes, but, so we're gonna do mean and then rates and ratios. So thank you for asking. So I'm bouncing around through a couple different pages. This is the first real class I've taught from home. I've done like AO and extensions from here. But so in this problem, and this is one from Khan Academy, so if you aren't totally done with your current assignments, this will probably help you. This is like a science fair experiment where someone's having people like put their hand or their finger or something in a glass of water and try to guess what the temperature is. So if they're below the temperature, their guess gets logged as a negative, and if they're above the temperature, their guess gets logged as a positive. So to find the average of this entire set of data, we need to add up all these numbers and then divide by how many we have. Now, if you have a calculator, this is going to be a whole lot easier than just going one at a time. So up to you. But if you're using a calculator, be careful. You need to make sure that the negative is what you're using. The button down by 0 and the decimal point, that's negative, not the minus button. Right, so go ahead, if you got a calculator or do it in your head, we're going to add up all of those temperatures. So I'm going to label this problem. Yeah, if you want to send it to me in the chat, totally fine. So we have like -3. I always try to put commas. -1. I'm even going to put the 0 so I don't forget that it's a number there. 2, 4, -4, 2, -3, 8, -2, 5, and 1. How many numbers do we have here? How many temperatures do we have? 12, right? So we're going to divide by 12. The sum, when we add up all those positives and negatives, let's check the chat. Yeah, it's 9. Be careful if you got -9. I'm not quite sure. You probably have a negative in the wrong place in your calculator. If you somehow got -9, it was probably a calculator issue. So this is going to become 9 over 12. What's that reduced to? 9/12 reduces to...
Yeah, sorry, I was doing it in my head. 0.75.
Yeah, if we want to use decimal, what fraction can it reduce to?
4.
Yeah, 3/4. Thank you, guys. Layla, I would leave the call and come back. Sorry, I don't know what might be going on, but yeah, I'd leave the call and come back. Any questions on how we found that average? We call it mean, but most people call it average. Like the mathematical vocab word is mean. Yeah, so people keep remembering that from last year because you guys must have started to learn this in 6th grade, depending on where you were. It's mean, median, and mode. Median is the very center number when you put all the numbers in order from lowest to highest. Mode, anyone remember? Mode's the weird one. What is mode? Who remembers? Mode is the number that happens the most. So whatever number is most occurring. All right, so this is another problem that deals with average, and it's pretty tough. So for the sake of your guys' time, so I want to respect your time, I put the link to my YouTube where I solve it in here. If you encounter this problem on your practice work, or even if you just want some extra practice on average and just want to check that out, go watch the YouTube clip. It's going to save you guys time, and it's going to make sure that we get out of class on time today. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Yeah, also make sure you like and subscribe, you know. Sorry, this is one of your classmates texting me. So, let's check out this problem. And what I'm asking you here, let's see if anyone remembers this from 6th grade. I have no idea how much you guys would have learned last year, because last year went pretty crazy. Anybody know how we like explain rate, or how we talk about rate versus unit rate? Sorry, I'm trying to help one of your classmates who's having tech issues. Anybody know how we talk about rates or unit rates, or how they're different? Harish?
So a rate compares a number to another number, so like miles per hour.
Yeah. So a rate, we're going to write, is a comparison between two values. So like if we said we drove 60 miles in 2 hours, that's a comparison between two values. How far we went, how long it took us to do it. So for a minute, we're going to ignore what's up here on that screen, and we're just going to write down notes for a second. Please let me know if you can't see any of this. Again, I'm using a different camera. I'm testing out whether this works or not. So let me know if it's out of focus too badly. But this just says comparison between two values, 60 miles over or divided by compared to 2 hours. A unit rate is a rate where one value, specifically the denominator, is 1. So if we took the rate that I just gave you of 60 miles in 2 hours and wanted to convert it to a unit rate, we look at the denominator and we say, how do we get it to turn into a 1? Well, here, with a 2, we can just divide by 2, and we can do the same thing in the numerator. And then once we have a 1 on bottom, we don't need to write it as a fraction. What's this P stand for? How do we talk about speed? Per, right? Miles per hour. This per means divide. Per is the word, and I think we talked about this on Tuesday. Remember that per tells us to divide. So if it's miles divided by hours, it's miles per hour. This is literally saying miles divided by hours because per tells us to divide. All right, so let's go back here to Emmanuel's problem. And it says, what is the cost per kilometer? We're seeing a lot of metric problems in our homework, which I love because the rest of the world uses the metric system. So if we write down what we know, let's write down $32 and let's write down 14 2/9 kilometers. And I just wrote it down as $32 for 14 2/9. If you want to make a reminder note, like I did here, per equals divide. Ooh, that didn't work. Sorry, I'm trying to get my camera to be a little bit better. I can't adjust the focus on this one very well. What is this 128 over 9? What did I do? I made my mixed number into an improper fraction. Thank you guys very much. So, how we set this up is based on the word per. Per tells us to divide. So what we're going to set up is the amount of money divided by the amount of kilometers. So if he paid $32 and went a distance of, well, this is our improper fraction, right? Now, the only reason I didn't make that into a decimal, what happens with division by 9? Who can remember what happens when we have something divided by 9? Yeah, jump in. Sorry, a couple people got kicked out. I'm trying to manage that. Sunny or Harish, I don't care. Division by 9 creates a repeating decimal. So guys, this is the critical part to write down. We did dollars divided by kilometers. We're going to set this up in a stacked division, right? Like vertical division. We then filled in the dollars we had and the kilometers that we had. So like dollars divided by distance, really. Because we care about what did we pay for how far we went. Division by a fraction, though, and this is where your calculator can give you the wrong answer. Division by a fraction is dangerous, because check this out. If I do, I don't know if this is going to focus on here or not. If you have a calculator in your hand, or like near you, grab it. Do 32 divided by 128 divided by 9. Yeah, that is the other thing. This screen is just crazy bright. I wonder if this camera will. If you do 32 divided by 128 divided by 9, this is wrong, right? This is the wrong answer because we have to put the denominator in parentheses. So guys, these parentheses, please make sure you have them on your notes. Make yourself like a mental note. If you're typing this into your calculator, you have to put that improper fraction in the denominator in its own parentheses. So your division typed in should look like this. Sorry, it's on my like Zoom camera. I'm holding it up instead of my face. So then that will get us the right answer, which is 2.25. The other thing we could do is keep change flip. If we wanted to try to solve it manually, we could keep change flip. 32 over 128 can actually be, what's that thing? What did we call it when we said if I can divide the top and bottom by the same thing, I can use smaller numbers? It's going to be a common factor that we're going to break out. Cross, or actually I called it like top bottom sometimes.
Cross multiplication?
Not cross multiplication. Remember, that's when a fraction's equal to a fraction. It's cross reducing. So cross reducing is where if I can divide the top and the bottom by the same thing, we're allowed to. So this 32 can divide by 32. That would get me 1. And 128 can divide by 32. It would get me 4. If you were trying to solve this on paper, you could cross reduce. That would make your life easier. And we get 9/4 in the end for our answer. Now 9/4 is 2.25. But again, we're using calculators now, right? So you don't have to do this manually. I want you to write out your work. But when it comes to calculating the value, you can definitely grab that calculator, give your brain a break. Sonny, what's up, man? Raise your hand, just still up.
You said that you can do the reducing for 128 and 32, but if I put 1 over 1, that's 1, not 32, and 9 over 4 is 1 and
2 and
2 and 1/4.
Yeah, so don't spend too much time thinking about this if it doesn't make sense. What we're doing is essentially making a giant 1 but with division. So 1 over 1, you're right. This is just 1. Once we cross reduce, this thing is just 1. So the answer we end up with is this fraction. But this denominator reduced out to 4, right? It divided out to 4 because we divided on top and bottom. So our answer is 9 divided by 4. And 9 divided by 4 is 2.25. These are the same number. We just put it back in currency, right? In money terms. Does this make more sense?
Yeah.
Really, what you could do is just do it in your calculator, right? Now, if you know how to type a mixed number in your calculator, you could also just do this division way up here using the mixed number, 32, divided by 14 and 2/9, this is what would be tough to type in the calculator. You got to know how to type a mixed number, which is why I avoided that. All right, I want you guys to try this. This one is slightly easier, even though they're both fractions, and we'll talk about it together. But if Francine uses 2/3 cup, or I would really call it cups, but if Francine uses 2/3 cup of pineapple juice for every 1/3 cup of orange juice to make a smoothie, how many cups of pineapple juice is it for 1 cup of orange juice? Yeah, you may have seen this problem on Khan if you already worked on the homework I assigned yesterday or whenever I did it. So we're going to set this up. We have to think about what divided by what. What needs to be on top versus what... Well, the thing that we want one of goes in the denominator. So what are we asked to make one of? Pineapple juice or orange juice? What are we asked to make one of?
Orange juice.
Orange juice, right? So since orange juice is the thing that we're asked to make one of, we're going to put orange juice on bottom. Oh, it lost the flip. Guys, hang on. We're going to flip. Woo! Flipped over. Alright, well, I was going to cover this stuff up, but I guess I'll just show it to you guys. This is what we set up. We realize we are asked to make one of orange juice. Charlie, you're totally fine. I had let you back in, but I don't know why it kept you in the waiting room, so sorry that you were in there so long.
It's okay. If I am not, like, on my background screen, it has me, like, go to my background screen so that you can let me in. I was doing Khan Academy while waiting.
Oh my gosh. Alright, well, thank you for doing Khan Academy. So, check this. This is probably what you were working on, right? Is how we get a unit rate with fractions. We first look at the problem asking us to get 1 cup of orange juice. So we know that orange juice must go in the denominator. Unit rates always put 1 in the denominator. So then we insert the values of 2/3 and 1/3. For 2/3 cup of pineapple told to us in the problem, 1/3 cup of orange juice told to us in the problem. Any questions on how I filled in 2/3 and 1/3? Then, oh yeah, I didn't write anything else down here. Then we know to get from 1/3 to 1, right, because we want 1 cup of orange juice, we just multiply by 3. The other thing we could do here is write out this division as 2/3 divided by 1/3. What do we do when we have a fraction divided by a fraction? Because Clark, this is how you got to the answer that you got. Yeah, we keep change flip. Because Clark sent me his answer in the chat. And the answer he sent me was 6/3, which is absolutely right. That really means for every 6 cups of pineapple, we're going to use what?
3 cups of
Yeah, 3 cups of OJ. So, you may have gotten to 6/3 in a different way, but so I was just referencing you sent me the right answer, trying to give you props, man. So there's a few ways that we can get there. Up here shows another. Sorry, go ahead, dude. What?
I just kind of thought in my head that, well, if we have, so we want to pour 3 cups of orange juice in, so we just multiply 2 by 3. And
Yeah. In your brain, this is what you did. Literally, in your brain, you did this math. You maybe didn't set up all the fractions and stuff, but it's what your brain did. Anybody have questions on this? Some of you guys are looking like you're spacing out. Unless you've already done this homework in Khan Academy, you need to come back and pay attention to what we're doing here. Try this. First thing you want to ask yourself is, what value do we want one of? What do we want one of? Somebody shout it out. What do we want one of here? At this rate, how many dresses does Lucy sew in? It doesn't say one dress. What's the problem say, guys? One of what? 1 hour. What we want one of is hour. So guys, be real careful. When we set this up, we're going to put hours on bottom because it wants 1 hour. So I'm going to write down 4/7 dresses. 3/4 hour.
The camera isn't there anymore.
Oh, I know. So you should be building a big fraction, a big comparison between two values to do dresses over top of hours. So dresses will be your numerator. Hours will be your denominator. Preach, I wish we had enough time to cover other methods. Let's talk, if you want, in like AO or extensions. If you want to show me your other method there are always lots of options. That's why I love math. Alright, now I'll show you my camera, because I wanted you guys to write a little bit on your own. You could have also, I like to, out to the side, make a little note, just to make sure that I remember, I want dresses on top and hours on bottom. As soon as I figure out that I'm looking for 1 hour, I set something like this up on the side of my notes. So we have 4/7 divided by 3/4. Now, Harish, if you want to jump in and show your other method, if you got that for here, what we're wondering is, how can we make the denominator into 1 hour, right? We're trying to turn 3/4 into a 1. Anyone remember how we can turn a fraction into a 1? There's a quick way that we can just do one thing to a fraction and turn it into a 1. You can just unmute and shout it out if you know what I'm talking about.
It's reciprocal.
Reciprocal! So if you didn't remember that in your head, make a little star right here and make a note to yourself. Reciprocal. So we are going to multiply. What's the reciprocal of 3/4?
4/3.
4/3. What that would actually get us is 12/12 in the denominator, which is 1. In the numerator, because we still have to do the same thing we did in the denominator, we got to do in the numerator. So we multiply by 4/3 up here. What's 4 times 4?
16.
16, thank you. 7 times 3?
21.
21. Now that we have 1 in the denominator, we don't really care about the denominator, but we care about the label. What label is on top?
Dresses.
Dresses. So I'm not sure if it's going to want us to have a fraction answer or a decimal answer. It would probably take both. Does this come out to an okay decimal? I mean, we can grab a calculator and see what decimal it would come out to be. Yeah, guys, you can always run to the bathroom. Like, that's totally fine. You can actually just shoot me a message saying going to the bathroom. If you gotta go, you gotta go. I forget when class is over in 5 or 10 minutes anyway. So, like, if you can wait, sweet. Otherwise, if you gotta go, you know, I'm not gonna tell you no. That would just be rude and mean. Anyone do this in your calculator? 16 divided by 21? It might come out alright. No, it doesn't. Oh. Yeah, no, it does not.
I'm using my computer calculator and like chimed around, and it doesn't seem to come out okay.
It's bad. I don't know if my screen can see that or
Your
not, but
brightness is too bright. Can you turn the brightness down?
oop, there. I think it's working
yeah,
now.
That's what I got. I got that on my thing too.
Something bad. So we would probably just leave it in 16 over 21, unless there's anything we could divide that by. But then we're going to label it dresses. Not dresser. Dresses. Dresses what? Per hour. Thank you. We use... Okay, I can't talk and write. I'm sorry, guys. Dresses per hour. Once we get 1 on bottom, we can essentially get rid of that being on bottom, and we can just say per whatever the label in the denominator was. Questions on this problem? We first set up a rate, just comparing dresses to hours. Then we manipulated it into the unit rate, and we tried to write it a little bit cleaner, but it didn't really work. So we just got 16 over 21. Sunny Harish, I can't tell if your hands or if your Zoom hands are just still up. If you have a question, just unmute and ask it. Sweet. All right, let's try this. One, maybe 2 more. I might let you guys go after this. I might say whoever wants to hang out and do more practice because it's good for you. I was going to change colors, but I do not have as many colors here at home. All right, guess we're stuck. What do we want 1 of here?
The hour? 1 kilometer?
Read the problem. We want 1 hour. We almost always put time on bottom, guys. Almost always we put time on bottom. We want 1 hour. I just wanted to make sure that everyone was setting it up correctly. Now, you can do it upside down. That's fine. But we have to solve for 1 hour. Hey, Layla, it's real easy for me to know that you're not writing things when you're doing this. Pick up your pencil. Let's do some math. Do I need to have you walk me through this problem to make sure you're paying attention, or are you back with me? All right, well, when both hands are on our face, I'm not even doing much investigation. When I can see both your hands, I know we're not taking notes. So what are we going to put on top? Well, if hours is on bottom, what has to go on top? The kilometers. You can decide if you want to make your mixed number into an improper or whatever you want to do with it. You can decide how you solve this problem, guys. There's a bunch of different ways. So you guys choose what works for you. Anyone want to volunteer to tell me how you solved it? I'll show you my setup. I just put kilometers over hours, right? So I wrote how many kilometers I had, how many hours I had. I like impropers better than mixed numbers. You guys know my bias there. So I did 6 times 3, then add it to the 1. How could I turn this into 1 hour on bottom?
You use the reciprocal, so 4 over 1.
Yeah, we use the reciprocal, so 4 over 1. So if I times 4 over 1, 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 4. This would really be 4 over 4, which is 1. If we multiply on top, that's where the math gets a bit more complicated. 19 times 4? Who knows 19 times 4?
76?
Yeah, because that's like 20 times 4, but take away 4. So it's 76, you said. 6 times 1? That's better math.
6.
So we get 76 sixths. I can't make the TH sound today. Can this be reduced?
No.
76 over 6 actually can. They're both even. Right? So since these are both even, we can divide by 2 at least. So if I divide by 2... Ooh, somebody threw me a message in the chat that said they think this comes out even, but let's explore this and see if it works. So 76 divided by 2 would be 35, 36, 37, 38 over 3. Now the other thing we could do is if we come back here and say, well, we're going to multiply by 4. What's 3 times 4? 12. What's 1/6 times 4? 4 over 6. So guys, this will actually reduce to 12 and 2/3. And we could actually get there by breaking up the multiplication from out here in the beginning and say 3 times 4 is 12. 1/6 times 4 is 4/6, and then we can reduce it from there. If we reduce 38/3, it's gonna come out to be 12 and 2/3. But we need a label. Right, so our answer is going to be 12 and 2/3. What's our label? Our label's told to us by our setup. Sorry, say that again? Yeah, kilometers per hour. And we can even write it like that. Guys, if you've never seen like miles per hour written with the slash, we can, especially when our labels use more than one letter, this means kilometers per hour, that little slash. So if you're writing it in your work, feel free to just use that. Because really that slash means division. Any questions on that one? Because I'm going to let you guys go. So here's the deal. If you were behind on Khan, your parents probably got an email from me earlier this week. Please get caught up. Fridays are mainly like AO and work time and stuff like that. Guys, people that have been sending me emails, like I'm getting responses out within a day. Like within 24 hours, I'm getting videos made and sent back to you. So please keep asking me questions, but check the community help doc first, right? If you hit a problem and think it's difficult, somebody else may have already done that, right? Hit that problem and thought it was difficult. So my response might already be in the community help doc. If you're working on next week's work, it might still be a tad difficult because we really just started that stuff today. So, you know, it's okay if you're working on next week's stuff and it's kind of rocky. You really want to come work with me if you're working on old material like past due. And if that's still tough, come work with me. We still have extensions today. I got to leave extensions at 3:30 because I have another meeting. But aside from that, guys, tomorrow, got a bunch of time to help you guys out. Remember, Math Lab is happening every morning at
8:30 a.m.
8:20. And if you show up early, I'm probably on early. So really, it's like 8:15. And 8:20 and 8:30 are not the same thing, Leah. That's a 10-minute difference. If you want to give me 10 minutes out of every day.
Only a 10 minutes.
All right, Leah, you have to show up at 8:10 instead of 8:20. It's the same difference, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll see you at 8:10. All right. If anyone has any questions and you want to hang out, please do so. Otherwise, you guys are free to go, take a break, get to your final class for the day. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get your numbers right.